Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're joining us from. Welcome to Simplilearn, who is sponsoring for the webinar. We are honored to have you join us today for PMP Exam Prep Demo class with your host, Nishant Shukla. If you're not familiar with Nishant Shukla, Nishant, a passionate and creative business leader with over 2 decades of rich experience in program and project management. Nishant, go ahead and wave since we have you on video. He runs a program consultant management business and has worked as a program manager for big names including here at Simplilearn, Cisco, and Hewlett-Packard. People refer to him as a go-getter, high-energy, optimistic, value-driven visionary with vast industry experience and a gift for team synergy. It's an honor for me to hand this over to Nishant. Thank you and happy learning. Nishant, hello.
Hey, thanks a lot, Richard. Thank you. Thanks for this wonderful introduction and setting the context. And hello, everyone. And good morning, good afternoon, good evening to you, depending on the location from where you have joined. I'm Nishant Shukla, as Richard introduced me, and you have already seen my profile and you know what I have done, what I do. The only difference is I look different in the video because I don't have any option on my head, so I keep experimenting with wherever I can. Okay, but you'll have to trust me, it's the same guy. Okay, so quickly moving on to the agenda here, what we are going to cover today is we'll have a very quick introduction to PMI and PMP, though these are two names which do not require any introduction. Everyone knows about it. And then we'll talk about the eligibility criteria, what it needs to be eligible to take the PMP examination, how the application and audit process work, what exactly happened and how you should start. And you'll get insight on, especially for those people who are planning to kickstart their application process or start their PMP journey. So they will get good insights on this. And then we are going to talk about the PMP Exam Blueprint, what all is covered, what is the syllabus, and we'll have myths about the PMP examination. And at the end, I'm going to cover a very quick overview of PMBOK guide. So this is only one slide for that, but it is going to give you the complete overview of PMBOK guide. And we will have question and answer at the end, but it's not that I'm going to hold on to all the questions till the end. I'll take logical breaks and whatever appropriate questions are there, I'm going to answer them. And Richard is going to ensure that I don't miss any question. In case if I missed out anything, he's going to bring it up and I'll answer all the questions. So I'll make sure that before the session ends, all your questions are answered. Okay? So that's about the agenda, and I'll quickly start with the topic here. So first is introduction to PMI, and as I told you, PMI does not require any introduction as such because you know people know about PMP, people know about PMI, but PMI, Project Management Institute, is a not-for-profit association which was established way back in 1969. And since then, PMI has been working to uplift the project management community. They came up with this PMBOK guide, which is project management body of knowledge, where they consolidated all the best practices of project management, which they picked up, which they collected from all the industries across the globe. So it is not confined to one particular industry or one particular region or country or domain. It can be used by anyone and everyone who is working on the domain of project management. And there are hundreds and thousands of members across the globe, and PMI is very, very actively engaged in the profession for uplifting the profession. Okay, and they have a lot of certification, and one of the certification, the most prominent certification, is PMP, which is Project Management Professional. And Project Management Professional certification is the most important industry recognized certification for project managers. In fact, you know, off it, you must have been hearing the news about the layoff and the job cut and role cut, and all these things are happening here. But PMP is one certification which actually ensures and demonstrates that you have the right capabilities, education, and experience to lead and direct project. Now, why this has become so important? Because as the time progressing, the margins are shrinking, and companies do not have bandwidth. Companies do not have the kind of patience or time to experiment with the thing. They want someone who can right from the day one start performing and start delivering, and it actually makes you more marketable. it increases any professional's marketability to employers, and it definitely attracts a higher salary. So I'm not going to speak much about it because the entire net is full of full of the information and the benefits of the PMP. And I mean, the proof is that there are so many people from different geographies and different regions joining this session to know more about the PMP. That itself is a proof that how significant the certification is. Now moving on to the next important point, next point, which is quite important, and I'm sure most of you would be looking for this question: am I eligible for PMP? So let's have a quick look at what is the requirement, what is the eligibility criteria. So if you have a bachelor's degree, if you hold engineering degree or any other bachelor's degree, then you need to have 4,500 hours of project management experience. Okay, and that 4,500 hours of experience must have come from from minimum 36 months. When I say 36 months, it means that if any one of you have 2 years of experience or 2.5 years of experience, but you are saying that I have more than 4,500 hours of experience, that means you are not eligible. You need to have minimum 36 months of experience. There is no maximum limit, there is no upper limit. And I'm going to talk about how you're going to calculate your 4,500 hours of project management experience, and that experience must come from the projects done in last 8 years only. So if we are in 2017 right now, so that means you cannot consider the experience from a project in which you worked and before June 2009. Okay, so the project must be after June 2009. Okay, if you do not have bachelor's degree, if you have a diploma, postgraduate diploma, or you're a high school graduate, then you need to have 7,500 hours of PM experience in minimum 5 years time. And apart from this, you also need to have 35 contact hours certificate. That means you need to complete this project management education for 35 hours. That is where Simplilearn is going to help you. We will provide you this project management education, and out of that training, you're going to get this certificate, which is going to make you eligible to take the PMP examination. Okay. So any questions on this part, you can just type in the question window, and when I take the logical break, I'm going to answer all your questions here. Moving on to the next one, that how we are going to calculate that project management experience. This is a quite important part, because people, I've seen in my experience a lot of people ask this question that I have worked on multiple projects. I've worked on projects which are probably 7 or 8. So is there any capping from PMI? No. There is absolutely no capping from PMI. The number of projects can exceed to 5, 10, 20, 30. PMI is never going to ask question, because as per PMBOK guide, the definition of project is an endeavor undertaken to create a unique product, service, or result is a project. Okay, so the most important point here is it has to start at some point of time and end at some point of time. It cannot be a never-ending or ongoing activity. So if you are from operations background, then we need to talk separately. You can probably reach out to me or to my team, and they will help you how you're going to calculate or document your experience. And also, this definition also highlights that the duration of the project is not important. The duration of the project could be 1 day, 1 year, 10 years also. I have seen people who have been working on one single project for 7 or 8 years, so that is also absolutely fine. Another important point is this experience must not overlap. Okay, so you can see here on the screen there are 2 projects. So they starting from January, your project A has a duration of 6 months, and somewhere at end of probably March or April, you started working on another project, project B, and you work till September. So if you look at the cumulative duration, it is going to be 12 months. But you cannot mention this in your application form, PMP application form, that since I worked on 2 projects of having 6 months duration each, that means cumulative is 12 months. No. At end of September, the total duration where you can actually calculate your project management experiences for going to be 9 months. So January to September, 9 months. Okay, so there must not be any overlap between your projects. That is one point. Second is your designation is not important. A lot of people have this doubt that I was not a project manager, I was a lead, or I was a developer, I was a system analyst, or I was engineer. So your title or your designation is not important. What is important? That the role that you played in the project. Okay, so suppose you were an analyst, but you played an active role, active part in collecting the requirement from the customer, articulating that requirement into the plan, and then managing some part of execution, or maybe driving some part of execution, and then you are also involved in the training and handover to the customer. So that means you devoted some time in initiating, planning, and then execution, probably monitoring and controlling, and closing. So you need to specify how many hours you spent in that. So we are going to talk about that in the few slides from now. So right now, what you need to understand first is your duration. It must not come from the project which have overlapping, and your title is not important here. Okay, and you need to document the experience for each and every project that you have worked on. If you've worked on 10 projects, then you need to document experience for 10 different projects. How? I'm going to tell you that in some time. Okay, so with this, we are done with this slide, and before I move on to the next one, let me just take a couple of questions here. So Neha is asking, I need to know, I'm working as a lead for electrical part of project. Will this work? Yes, Neha, this will definitely work provided you have the adequate experience. And Gaurav is asking, I'm working as IT team lead for 5 years at data center, total 8 years experience. Yes, perfect. You're eligible, Gaurav. Of course, you need to look into your experience. Okay. Kalpesh is asking, I'm from IT background and has 2 years of experience. For being PM, do I need to have development experience? Well, this is a question which is not related to exactly to the PMP, but yes, this is it all depends on the kind of opportunity and how you're going to get that opportunity. Okay, you can reach out to me if you have any further question. I'll share my contact details at the end of the session. And Srinivasalu has a question. Nowadays, market is demanding PMI ACP and not PMP. Everyone needs agile, so how is helping me PMP as it's old now? Well, PMP is not old. PMI ACP, yes, it has a market and that market is growing, but you need to understand that PMI ACP is in demand specifically into software development industry, and software development industry is not the only industry. There are multiple industries and they require PMP certification. And another important point is the 6th edition of PMBOK is going to come up in some time. I'm going to talk about that towards the end. So they have included a lot of content about the agile as well. So yes, PMI ACP's demand is increasing, but that is absolutely no impact on the demand for PMP. It is ever growing now. Okay, and Subhash has a question that I have experience in manufacturing. Am I eligible? Yes, yes, you are eligible. And Gaurav saying someone asked me to go for CAPM. Yes, definitely you can go for CAPM. Okay, fine. So I can see the questions are being bombarded here. So I'm just going to stop here and I'll take remaining questions at the end here because we need to move on with the slides here. There are a lot of things coming up, and please don't worry, all of your questions are going to get answered. Okay, I'll not end the session before I answer all the questions. Now let's move on to the next slide. Quickly have a look at the PMP application process. So the application process, if you want to, whenever you are ready to kickstart your PMP journey, you need to go to this URL which is given here on pmi.org, and you need to click on this apply for PMP credential. And once you have reached there, you need to follow the process. I'm going to give you the screenshots in the following slides. You complete and submit that application online. Once you submit your application online, then PMI is going to take around maximum 5 business days time to review your application and review your credentials. So when I say credentials, means they will check whether you are eligible for PMP or not. Do you have adequate experience or not? And once all these details are checked, then you'll receive a mail from PMI that you can go ahead, your application has been accepted, you can go ahead and make the payment. Now then you need to go and make the payment, and after you make the payment, then PMI is going to pick up 20% of the applications purely on a random basis for audit. Okay, when you are picked, in case your application is picked up for audit, then all the project that you're going to document, you need to provide a reference for that, and PMI will verify whether you have the correct experience or not, and it will look for some kind of confirmation from those references. We are going to cover that in some time from now. And once you supply the required information to PMI, you will get the notification response from PMI. If it is accepted, then you will receive a link from PMI, which will, where you can go and schedule your examination. In case your application is not picked up for audit, then right after you submit your make your payment, you're going to receive a link from PMI that follow this link, go to Prometric website and schedule your examination, and you start preparing for that. Okay. So the process is pretty simple and pretty straightforward, and PMI is going to inform you about each and every step. Their communication is very neat and clear and very precise. They are going to make you aware of entire process in case your application is picked up for audit. And of course, Simplilearn is always there to support you and assist you in case you have any doubt or you hit any roadblock. We are all there to assist you. You can reach out to me as well. Okay. So this is the PMP overall PMP application process. And another important point to note here is when you submit your application, you do not require any documents at that time. Okay. In case your application is picked up for audit, then you require 3 sets of documents. One is your educational certificate, which will prove that you have the bachelor's degree or not. Second is you require your training completion certificate, which Simplilearn is going to provide you. Okay, after completion of your training, we will provide you the certificate, 35 contact hour certificate, which will fulfill the requirement of PM education, project management education. And third is the reference of all those people. So suppose you worked on 2 projects and you need to submit the experience for each and every project, and also you need to provide a reference, a person who can vouch that yes, Mr. X, Mr. So-and-so worked on this project from this and this duration in this capacity. But it's a very simple process. All you need to do is, all that reference need to do is, they need to download a form, take a printout of that, fill up that form and send it to you by post. Soft copy will not work. Important point to note here is soft copy will not work. They will have to mail it to you. They will have to courier or post it to you. And then without opening, you need to forward the same envelope as it is to your local PMI office. Okay. If you're in India, it will go to Gurgaon, or if you're in some other country, it will go to the regional office there. And then PMI is going to revert to you once it is accepted and you have cleared the audit. Okay, so this is about the PMP application process, and now we are going to have a quick look at how does the form look like, because unless you create your ID and start you submitting your application, you'll not get to see this, and that's why I've taken a screenshot of the form, so you can just get a feeler of how this application is going to look like. And most importantly, this is actually to remove the fear from the people's mind. A lot of people have been pushing it. People have been procrastinating their decision to take on the PMP because they feel it's a very complex and very lengthy process. No, it is not at all complex or lengthy process. It won't take more than probably an hour or 2 hours to submit the entire application, fill up the entire form. And most of the time will be when you start writing your project summary or start documenting your experience. So after, there are some few details here on the left side. You can see the step 1 application, and there are contact address, contact information, attended education. So I'm just not going there. I'm starting straight from where you need some information. So suppose you started working, or you have enough experience and you worked on multiple projects since 2010. And let's say you have worked on 5 projects so far. So you need to document each and every project here. So this is the first step where you'll enter the project specific information, like the project title of the project and start and finish date. And the important point is the role that you played here in the project, whether it was a project contributor, supervisor, manager, leader, project manager, educator, consultant, administrator, or other. If you do not if your title or if your role in the project does not match is here, then you can just select others. Okay, and then your primary industry. Once you have filled up this data, and then you go save and move to the next one where you need to provide the organization. So this project was done when you were working for which particular organization. So you need to provide the organization detail. Now suppose you work with ABC Limited and you did multiple projects there. So after you had done enter the details for the first time and then you save and continue, next time when you come here to enter the details for the second project, you can click on the drop down which is here on the top of this, select a saved organization, and you need not to fill this information again and again. Okay, so provide the required details here and then you move on to the next one. Now this is the important point where you need to provide the primary contact for this experience. For each and every project you need to provide the reference of a primary contact, and that contact can be either project sponsor or client or manager or director or any primary stakeholder. So primary stakeholder could be anyone. It could be your senior team member, it could be senior analyst, it could be your finance manager, it can be your controller or anyone. Okay, so provide all this information. Now my advice to you is, before you fill in this detail, before you give the reference of any person, I would suggest you reach out to that person and check with them whether they are okay or they will be available to provide this reference to PMI. Because in case you have given someone's name and after your application is picked up for audit and then you are not able to reach out to that person, then your application will be cancelled and then you will lose $150. PMI will refund you all the money, entire amount, deducting $150. Okay, so make sure you're talking to that person before you provide their details here, and then we move on to the next, where for that particular project, so we are going to talk about it later. The entire project is divided into 5 domains, that is initiating, planning, executing, controlling, and closing the project. So you need to specify, you need to populate that detail here, that how many hours you spend working on each and every domain of this project. Now there may be a situation, there may be a project where you did not work on the planning, you worked on initiating and then you worked on executing and you worked on the closing. That is absolutely fine. In one project, not necessary that you have to work on all the 5 domains, but when you fill up all the experience, entire experience, you have to ensure that you have some amount of exposure or experience in each and every domain of this project management. Otherwise, your application may not be accepted. Okay, so after you have entered the number of hours spent in each and every domain for each project, then you move to the last section here where you need to provide a summary of this project, and the summary must include the project objective and the role that you played. And in each domain, I would suggest that you summarize in such a way that you are giving a brief detail about deliverables of each and every domain, and the entire description must not exceed 350 characters. You can connect with me or with my team and we'll provide you a sample or summary of this project, which will be helpful, which can come very handy when you are filling up this application here. Okay. So after you have filled up your experience, I mean, you start adding your project here. So this is how your experience worksheet is going to look like. You keep on adding project and PMI. I mean, this tool will keep on capturing your experience here. So you will have to keep adding unless you cross 4,500 hours of PM experience. Now you may have a rich experience or 20-25 years of experience and you want to add probably 9,000 or 10,000 hours of experience. That will not help. It does not make any difference. All that matters is 4,500 hours. So I would suggest you need not to spend effort in giving the experience of 8,000 or 9,000 or 10,000 hours. It is not at all needed, and PMI will not get impressed by it. The only way to impress PMI is your experience, and it is well articulated, where you have very clearly mentioned you worked on which domain and what activities you had and what deliverables you had, and that's it. And even after that, the process to pick up for audit is purely on a random basis. No one knows whether their application is going to be picked up or not. Okay. And after you have documented all the experience and you have required 4,500 hours, then you move to the next section where you need to provide the detail about your PM education. So this is here in the add education section. You need to write your title as PMP Certification Training, and in the institution name you need to start typing Simplilearn. So Simplilearn is registered with PMI, and so we have this IP, intellectual property right, also we have purchased that one with from a PMI. So we are authorized to use PMI's content for training, and since we are registered with PMI, when you start writing you will see the name getting populated there, and provide the your training start date and end date, and just save and continue. And once you move on to this one, then you are ready to submit your application. So you can download the PDF version of your application after you have completed all your project and you have 4,500 hours of experience. You can look at that, you can share that with us as well. We can probably give you a review, because what happens is, suppose you have in this past 8 years you worked on only 2 projects which has given you the required experience, and you made some mistake while typing writing the summary of that, and in case PMI refuses to accept that or rejects that summary, you cannot reword it. I mean, PMI may raise this question that, okay, you have not worked on planning, so we cannot accept it. And then when you are resubmitting the application for the same project, you cannot show experience in planning. So you will have to be very careful while submitting the application. Okay, you can reach out to us and we will support you. We will provide you guidance on how to fill up the application form. That support is there 24/7 round the clock. Okay, so with this, I'm going to take a logical break and I'm going to look at the questions that I'm getting here. I can see a lot of questions coming up here. Let me quickly take some time to answer these questions here. So the first question is I'm going to take is how is PMP? Okay, this is from Pawan Kumar. Pawan is asking, how is PMP certification beneficial for civil engineering professional? Well, civil engineering has a lot of significance with that, because most of the work that you do there is a pure project, and in India and outside India, the demand for PMP certification, especially in the Middle East, is increasing like anything for civil engineering professionals. Okay, construction is a very prominent industry. In fact, before IT came, before the IT emerged as a strong industry which demands PMP certification, this was already there in the construction. Okay, and so Pawan, this question cannot be summarized in. If I had to summarize the answer in one statement, yes, it is extremely beneficial. Okay. Next question is from AVS778. I'm sorry, I can't see your name. If after payment application rejected, then what about the payment? Well, PMI will not reject your application after you made the payment. If PMI has to reject the application, that will happen before you make the payment. And in case for any reason your application gets rejected due to non-compliance or due to some audit issues, then PMI will deduct $150 as their administrative charges and return the remaining money. Okay. And the next question is from Srinivasalu. Given a change of for PMP and PMI SAP, which one should I choose? What should the mental condition before taking the PMP examination? Okay, Srinivasalu, I can see a lot of questions here. There are many standards and rules and ethics defined in PMI. Srinivasalu, what I will do is I'll park your questions for the end. I would suggest that let us complete this first and let's have a review or overview of PMBOK guide, and then I answer this question to you so you are in a better position to understand that. Okay, I hope you won't mind that, but don't worry, I'll answer your question before I end the session. And Pawan is asking that the start date should be project start or our present start date to the project. No, the start date should be the project start date. Okay. Vasudev has asked this question. I've done regular job in purchase department. Yes, you are eligible as long as you've worked on the project. If you have any doubt about your candidature or your experience, you can share your profile with one of our team members and I'll review that and I'll get back to you on that. Okay. Again, the question from AVS778. Building processes for getting business means if somebody involved in preparing bid, will it be counted as an experience? Yes, definitely. See, I want to add one thing here for the interest of the larger audience here. The notion is that PMP is only for IT or PMP is only for people who are working in software development or IT projects. No. Wherever there is an element of project management is required, and wherever project management is required, PMP is in very high demand. Okay, so if you are in purchase, you are involved in the bidding process. Bidding itself is a project. When you go for the large project, when you bid for the large project, you need to initiate, you need to plan, then you need to execute, you need to monitor, control, because it's not a one single activity that you filled up the form, you gave it to them. You probably need to do some solutioning also at your end. Okay, and in fact PMI also gives a lot of significance to the entire bidding process. There is a one knowledge area, project procurement management, in PMBOK guide. Okay, so yes, you are eligible, you can straight away go for it. The next is again Srinivasalu from I'm planning to become PMP trainer once I complete PMP certification. What is the process? Well, becoming a trainer is completely your choice, but of course you need to have that adequate knowledge, and most importantly you should be able to handle questions. We can talk offline about this. Okay, may I know from which location you're giving guidance for us? I am in Bangalore, Srinivasalu, and if you are here around, I would love to meet you. I'll be very glad to meet all the people. I am there on all social media. I am there on LinkedIn. I have my own page in Facebook. You can find me and connect with me there. And yes, I'll be glad to connect with everyone there. So what is PMI registration? PMI registration, okay. So I'm going to talk about, so there is a question from Divyanjay. Divyanjay, I'm going to take your questions at an appropriate time. There is a slide which I mentioned for PMP examination fee, and is it useful for PMP examination? We are going to talk about that. So your question will be answered when we reach to that appropriate section here. Okay, and then there is a question, Rollings Chandra, how PMP benefits to a rolling stock manager. Okay, we can talk about that later. I mean, it may not fit completely into a project category, but yes, there may be certain areas. So this is a very specific question which I'll love to take offline or maybe at the end, completely at the last. Okay, so I think the questions are not getting stopped, and if I start answering all the questions right now, we'll not have time for the important topic. So I'm so sorry, but I'll pause the questions here and I'll move on with the slides, and when I take the next logical break, I'll try to answer some of the questions. Otherwise, we'll take it to the end. Okay, great. So moving on to the next section here about the PMP examination fee. So PMP examination fee is, in case you decide to take the PMI membership first, then it is going to be $405. So PMI membership fee is $139. Okay, so $139 plus $405 for PMP examination, that makes it around $544. In case you do not want to go for PMI membership, then the fee for PMP examination is $555. A lot of people ask this question whether I should go for PMI membership or not. My personal recommendation is yes, you must go for PMI membership because it comes with a lot of other benefits. Of course, you get access to the soft copy of PMBOK guide, which is your personalized copy. And when you get this access, let me just share my personal copy with you. You're going to get this personalized copy where in the bottom, in the top, it is written like PMI member benefit license to so and so, and your PMI number as well. It is not for distribution, sale, or reproduction. So no one can sell you the soft copy, provide you the soft copy of PMBOK guide. When you apply for the PMP examination, you get your own copy. You get your own version, okay? And along with this, you may see membership to the local PMI chapter, which is completely optional on your discretion, on your choice. So like I'll give you my example. When I was going for PMP examination, I had taken the membership for a local chapter as well, because the local chapters are very, very helpful in certain ways. You know, after you become PMP, then you can start attending the conferences, you can go and participate in the activities there, and for each activity that you're doing or whatever work you're getting involved into, you'll be able to earn certain PDUs. So PDUs are very useful when you have to renew your PMP certification. Okay, So PMI membership is something that I would suggest you to go for it. Along with this, you also get access to projectmanagement.com. So projectmanagement.com is a site owned by PMI where you'll get a lot of free resources, and most importantly, you'll get an opportunity to connect with the professionals across the globe. And a lot of companies have started posting their requirements as well. So it's a great networking site. It's a great network, provide great resources there. And when you become member, you get access to a lot of forums as well, and which can be very useful while preparing for the PMP examination. So to conclude this, whether to go for PMI membership or not, yes, you should go for it. Okay, and when you complete the process and you get your application is selected and you have blocked the examination, then right from the day, okay, so let me go back to the process. Let's say you, after making the process, whatever it is, if your application is picked up for audit or not, the day you receive an email from PMI that your application is accepted, your payment is accepted, now you can go and block your or schedule your examination at Prometric Center. From that day, you will have 1 year's time to clear the PMP examination, and within that 1 year's time, you are allowed to have only 3 attempts. For example, a person went there and let's say the person got this email from PMI on 1st of January 2017 that the person can take PMP examination till 31st December 2017. Okay, now that person scheduled the exam first attempt in February, let's say 15th of February. The person went there and unfortunately the person failed. So 1 attempt is gone, and then the person can reappear for the examination after a gap of 30 days. So he cannot reapply for, that person cannot reapply for it before 16th of the 16th of March. So after paying the re-examination fee and while reapplying for the examination, if that person is still member, then he will have to pay $275. Otherwise, he'll have to pay $375. Okay. Let's say that person blocked the examination, applied for the re-examination for second time on 15th of March. And unfortunately, second time also that person failed. Then he will get third opportunity as well. After a gap of 30 days, he can reschedule the examination after paying the fee depending on this membership status. And if that person, let's say, failed to clear that exam in third attempt as well, then his application is cancelled. Okay. Let's say he did the third attempt on 30th of April. So after that, he will, in case if he wants to go for the fourth attempt or the next attempt, then that person will have to restart the entire process from the beginning. But I have not come across anyone who has failed to clear that, so you don't need to worry about that. Most likely, if you go with Simplilearn, most likely that you will be able to clear this in first attempt. Why? I'm going to talk about that later on. And important point is rescheduling fee. If you suppose you schedule the examination for 15th of February and you want to reschedule the examination on 18th of January, I mean there is some travel or something urgent came up, then you are not allowed to do that. In case if you want to do that, you'll have to pay a re-examination or a rescheduling fee of $70. Okay, rescheduling within 48 hours is not allowed, and you have the flexibility to change the exam location. Okay, and also no show is considered as 1 attempt gone. So make sure that you are working on your schedule when you go for the PMP examination. Clear? And with this, we move on to the next part, which is PMP Examination Blueprint. And I can see the questions are pouring in, and I'll hold on to the question. Let me complete this topic first, the exam blueprint, and then I'm going to take a break and come back to your questions. So very quickly, the PMP Examination Blueprint, as I told you, the entire PMBOK guide is divided into 5 domains. Entire project is divided into 5 domains: initiating, planning, executing, monitoring and controlling, and closing. And these are the percentage of questions that you're going to get. So out of all those 200 questions, there would be 13% of questions, which is 26 from initiating, 24 from planning, and so on. Okay, but these questions will be mixed randomly, and then there are 10 knowledge areas which are mapped to these five domains of it. Okay, So there is a question coming up here, percentage of pass for PMP. I'm going to take that question later, though it is very important later, but I have a slide for that. Don't worry on that part. So these are the 10 knowledge areas which are covered in PMBOK guide, and at Simplilearn, this is our exam syllabus. We are going to cover all the 5 domains and all the 10 knowledge areas. So there are 5 process groups, 10 knowledge areas, and 47 processes in PMBOK guide, and you need to go through each and everything, but it is not as difficult as it seems to be. Don't worry, I can make it very easy for you, you know. And also, I mean, when we come to the last of it, I'm going to talk about that. When you try to memorize everything, then you're definitely heading for a failure. Memorization will not help. You need to understand the logical flow, and then things will be very, very easy for you. I'll share my personal experience. When I was preparing for the PMP examination, you may believe it or you may not believe it, but I studied only for 5 days. I was working with Hewlett Packard at that time, HP in Chennai, and you know, I had been pushing my PMP examination date, but then I came to a point where I could not have pushed it beyond that. And then I took the examination leave for 5 days, and I just locked myself into a room and studied for 5 days, and I was able to clear this in first attempt. So the time, I mean, I have seen people spending 2 months and 3 months preparing for the examination. They also have failed. And then I have seen people who just did this 4 days training. I did a session, you know, probably 1 year back, where I was a gentleman from Canada, were working in a telecom industry. He completed the training and then he went for the PMP examination without any preparation, and he was able to clear it. So the logic and understanding is very, very important, very crucial here. And the content, the way we have designed the content, it is going to help you understand the logic, the kind of instructors we have. So we cover each and every area that is required for required to clear this PMP examination. And not only just clearing the PMP examination, because after you become PMP, when you get back to your respective organization, the expectations from you will be very high. The organization will be expecting you to perform in certain manner. So we are going to load you with that also. Okay. So coming to the next is myths about the PMP examination. So here a lot of your questions are going to be answered. So one of the most popular myths is that you need to have 61% marks to clear the PMP examination, which is absolutely wrong. Okay, from November 2005 onwards, PMI stopped publishing the passing percentage, and they adopted this psychometric analysis. So I'll tell you how it happened. So there are 200 questions in the PMP examination. Let's say you started the PMP exam and you get one question at number 10. So there is a question, and then there are 4 options given, and you selected, after going through all the everything, you selected one most option which you feel is the most appropriate. When you move to, let's say, question number 35, you may get the same question with different set of options. Okay. When you move to question number, let's say 50, you may get the similar kind of question with some twist and with a different set of options. So with this, how you attempt that these 3 questions, PMI is going to figure out whether you applied certain logic or was it just by a fluke. Okay, that is the approach that PMI uses. But again, no one knows what approach PMI is going to take. So it is completely unknown to the outside world. So if anyone comes and tells you, I know how PMI is going to look at your score and everything, that is absolutely wrong. Okay, so 61% is just a myth. It is no longer valid. PMI is going to give you grade. It can be moderate proficient, proficient, or below proficient. For each domain, initiating, planning, executing, monitoring, controlling, and closing, PMI is going to give you the grade. And depending on the grade and based on their own logic, they're going to declare whether you have passed or failed. In fact, I know cases where people got, you know, below proficient in 2 or 3 domains, and they got proficient in 1 domain and they still cleared it. Clear? Second part is, we talked about this domains and 5 domains, 10 knowledge areas, and 47 processes. I mean, if you put together everything, with the way process is structured is, there is a, for each process, there is input, then there are tools and techniques, and then there are outputs. Put together all the inputs, tools, techniques, and outputs, or you can call that as ITTOs. There are more than 520 ITTOs in the PMBOK guide, and it is not possible or not very helpful to memorize each and everything. Your memorization is not going to work. Your cheat sheet, some people rely heavily on cheat sheet. I've seen a lot of people who will prepare all sort of cheat sheet, who will reach out to all sort of cheat sheet, but still they have failed. Okay, so cheat sheet is now going to help you, memorization is not going to help you. Okay, so you really need to understand the logical flow, and the moment you understand that, you are there. You need to understand that. You need to understand the logical flow. In fact, PMI also emphasizes on the same thing, that your memorization is not going to be very, very helpful. Okay, so with this, we come to the last section where I'm going to give you a very quick overview of PMBOK guide. We are slightly behind the schedule because I, started answering the question. And before we move on, let me just, have a look at the questions that we are getting here. Oh, there are a lot of questions. I mean, it's better that I push all the questions for the end. And let me quickly move to the next one, and I'm probably going to take the questions. So Richard, I hope you are keeping a track of all the questions, and I'm going to take up everything at end of the session. So with this, we move on to the next important part here. This is the overview of the PMBOK guide. So I'm going to spend 5 minutes on this, where I'll give you a glimpse, a very quick overview of how this entire logical flow is structured. And those who have attended some training at some point of time, I'm sure this will be very helpful. Those who are planning to go for it, you will get insight on what exactly you need to prepare for and how you should go for it. And before that, give me a few seconds. I'm just going to sip some water. I've been speaking non-stop for past 50 minutes. Okay. And here we go. So we are going to look at the logical sequence at a very high level. So the first thing here is, the very first thing that you'll do in any project is you'll develop a project charter. So project charter comes under initiating domain. So there is a process for everything that we are going to do. There are processes here. I'm not going to talk about those processes in detail right now, but there is a process called develop project charter. And once you follow the processes, you collect the input, and then you have the tools and techniques, and you'll get the project charter as an output. So project charter is a document which is going to authorize the commencement of a project in any organization. And it will also empower the project manager to add resources or utilize the resources of the organization for the project work. Once a charter is prepared, then project manager along with the project team will start working on the subsidiary project management plan. So before they come up with a master project management plan, the team and the project manager will have to work on all these subsidiary plans, all the components of the project. That is a change management plan, requirement management plan, configuration management plan, scope, time, cost, quality, HR, communication, procurement, risk, and you will come up with your baseline, that your cost baseline, schedule baseline, and scope baseline. Once all the subsidiary plans are completed, are ready, then we are going to consolidate everything in develop project management plan process. There is a process called as develop project management plan, and outcome of that is going to be your project management plan. Once your project management plan is ready, then the project will move into executing stage. So direct and manage project work. So direct and manage project work is where project manager is going to lead the team and manage the team in doing the work which was planned. And as team start doing the work, there would be work results, or you can call that as output. Okay, and that output is going to be in the form of your deliverables, and along with the deliverables you're going to get your work performance data. So the work performance data could be like, there was a task or there was a deliverable which was supposed to take X amount of time and Y amount of money. When you did the work, at end of the deliverable, when the work was completed and you have the deliverable ready, you look at the actual time consumed, actual time taken to deliver that, and the amount of money you had to spend to do this. So that comes to, let's say, 7 days and $200. So in that particular deliverable, you spend 7 days and you spend $200. So that data, work performance data, will go to your different respective processes in monitoring and controlling domain. So for each of the knowledge area, for example, scope, there is a control scope. For schedule, there is control schedule. For project cost management, there is control cost. So this data, raw data, which is not just 7 days and $200, but you'll get multiple set of data there actually. Each will go to their respective controlling process where the team will do the variance analysis, where they will compare the actuals with what was planned. And when this comparison is done, when the variance analysis is done, they are going to come up with work performance information. So let's say this deliverable, which was supposed to take 5 days time, when you did the variance analysis, you realize that it was supposed to take 5 days time and you're supposed to spend $175 in that. That was the plan. Okay, and actual is 7 days and $200. So there is a variance of 2 days, negative 2 days. That means you have overspent, your deliverable was delayed and you overspent also. Instead of 5 days, it took 7 days. Instead of $175, you spent $200. So this is your work performance information. So the work performance information then will be taken to the monitor and control project work process. There is a process called as monitor and control project work. So the difference in your control scope, control schedule, control cost, and so processes here and monitor control project work is the, for example, control scope or control schedule is the variance analysis of only the schedule part, schedule element of the deliverable. But in monitor and control project work, you're going to do the variance analysis for all the associated information. For example, here it looks like a simple delay of 2 days. But when you look at the impact of this on the cost, that can be significant. When you look at the impact of this on the quality, that can be significant. When you look at the impact of this on the risk, that can be significant. There may be some risks associated with the schedule. Like if you miss your milestone by, let's say, 2 days, you may have to pay some penalty to the your client organization. Okay, so in monitoring and control project work, you will look at the impact of one element of variance in one element at the other elements. And once you have done this variance analysis for the project, you are going to document the project progress update against your plan. And you will also, yeah, thanks a lot, Srinivasulu. Yes, I was looking for that. Thank you. And we got work performance data, which was analyzed. Through that, we got work performance information for the deliverable. And now we are going to publish our work performance reports or the project dashboard. So work performance data said you took 7 days to deliver this. Work performance information said there is a negative variance of 2 days. And work performance reports are going to showcase the impact of these variants on the overall project. Okay, so this is a difference in these 3 key elements here, which are going to be very, very prominent when you take the PMP examination. So understanding the difference is very crucial. And along with this work performance information, you may also have some change request. Okay, so you need to understand that why this variance is happening. You may have to take some corrective action, or you may have to take some preventive action, or you may have to take both. But in project, once things are planned, once everything is planned, you do not have authority to alter anything without obtaining approval from the change control board. So the project team is going to request certain changes in the plan, and those changes could be for corrective or preventive or both the actions. That will go to change control board and integrated change control process. And after change control board has reviewed the request, will look at the impact of this change and will obtain the necessary approval. And if the request is approved, then that request will be implemented in your direct and managed project work process. So you will have to execute the work as per the changed plan. changes in the plan. And there may not be a request directly from control scope or control schedule or control cost, but it may come from monitoring control project work also. So depending on where you are, so sometimes what happens is, let's say there is no variance when you did your control scope, control schedule, control cost, and all the individual controlling processes, there is absolutely no variance. But when you consolidate everything and when you look at the work performance reports, you realize that right now the progress is fine, but there are certain factors or elements, if you do not take care of that, in future there may be a delay. So you will take some preventive actions, but you do not have authority to alter any element. So for that also you need to raise a request to change control board, and once it is approved, it will be implemented in the plan. And this will be repeated over and over again unless all the deliverables are completed and handed over to customer, and then we will move to the closed project process. Okay, and you'll do the administrative closure, you'll do the postmortem, you'll do the review of all the deliverable, you'll make sure that all the terms and conditions have been met, and then you'll finally declare the project as completed, and you will move on to the next project and in your career and in your job and your company as well. Okay, so this was a very high level logical sequence of the entire project, and believe me, this is all you're going to study in your entire preparation in the PMBOK guide. This is what you need to understand in detail when you go for the PMP examination. If you understand this, if you understand the logical flow and logical sequence, you are there. I can guarantee you that you're going to clear this in first attempt. Okay, you need not to worry about that. So it looks complex. I'm sure there would be certain people who probably did not understand some parts of it, because you are probably listening these things for the first time. So another important point is you will have to start becoming familiar with the terminologies. Like you may come with loads of experience, 15-20 years of experience, and you have done all this work, but you were using certain different terms to call these elements as. But no, you will have to unlearn, and you will have to learn the way PMI expects you to remember things. Okay, that is extremely important. So PMBOK guide is something that is going to be the Bible of it, and do not even go for PMP examination without doing one cover to cover study of PMBOK guide. At least one cycle is extremely important. Okay, so this is about the logical sequence of the project, and with this we come to the last section here, that why you should go to Simplilearn for training. I'm going to take you through the very quickly that what all we have. So first of all, we have this flexi pass. You can attend multiple batches. Now this is a very fantastic thing, because what happens is, I'll tell you a situation. Suppose you are preparing for the PMP examination, and today June going on 7th June. You apply for the PMP examination, let's say by end of June your entire application and everything is done, and 1st of July you apply for the PMP examination, and you schedule this examination for 31st of July. Now by 15th of July your training is over, let's say in the month of June itself. But when you are near your examination, you hit a roadblock, you have some doubt or confusion, and you want to clarify that. So many people say that I want to go for physical classroom session, but in physical classroom session, you may have to run after the training organization to speak to the instructor, or re-attend the batch. You may have to shell out money to do that. But here, all you need to do is you just need to log into your account and register yourself for any of the upcoming batch. In case there is an urgency, you can reach out to our support team, which is there 24/7, and you can join any of the ongoing batch, and you can speak to instructor. This is the fantastic opportunity that we have, and we are guaranteed to run batches. I'm going to show you how many batches we are running every week and every weekend. And apart from that, we have 7 days money back guarantee in case you follow all the criteria and you prepare the way we are suggesting you to do that, and you fulfill the criteria. But still, unfortunately, if anyone is not able to clear it in the first attempt, we will refund their training fee. Okay, and when you register for it, in case for any reason, if you are not able, if you don't find the content useful, or you don't like the training for any reason, you'll have 7 days money back guarantee. Okay, it's not that you need to run after people that, okay, my money is gone, they are not refunding that. No, we will refund that money in case if you're not satisfied with the content. Okay, and we'll provide you assistance in filling the application form. And on top of that, I am always available. My details are there. I'm going to share that with you. You can reach out to me anytime you want. You can write a mail to me, and I will be glad to assist you in anything I can. Now, the another important, which is very unique, you will not find it anywhere outside. So as I told you that PMP examination, PMP examiner psychometric test, psychometric assessment, and more than 80% of the questions in PMP examination are situational examination. You will be given a situation or a scenario, and you will have to assume the responsibility of project manager and select the most appropriate answer from the given 4 options that you have. Okay, that is an area where you really need to understand the concept. And along with the mock questions and along with other content, we also have case studies. Those case studies will help you understand the scenarios that you may come across, and the similar kind of scenarios will be there in the PMP examination. So once you go through those case studies, once you do the project, there is a project also, there is a project submission as well. When you do this, it actually increases the likelihood of you clearing this difficult PMP examination in the first attempt. And when I say the word difficult, it is only when you perceive it to be difficult. Once you go through the case studies, if you crack the logic, then it's going to be a piece of cake for you. Along with that, we also have the scenario-based games, which will serve the same purpose. And most importantly, as I told you, after you clear the PMP examination and you go back to your respective work field, then you will be expected to deliver in the same fashion. And these case studies will actually help you understand how the project management will be implemented, or these processes and practices will be applied in the real life work. And that is where your professional growth starts. See, I'm telling you very clearly, after you become PMP, the world is not going to change. It's not that, you know, you'll be bombarded with the offer. You will still have to prove, you'll still have to deliver. And these case studies and games will help you deliver. Okay? And of course, the stakes are very high. We are talking about $275 or $375, of course, depending on your membership status. So I'm sure you would not want to risk your $275 or $375, which are for the re-examination. Okay. So coming to the last slide, here are the batch details. As I told you that we guarantee to run the batches. None of the batch will get cancelled here. I mean, of course, there may be certain emergencies, but we will take care of that. And we have this batches, upcoming batches starting to suit your schedule. And professionals, you know, find it very difficult to pull out full 4 days for the training. So that's why you don't need to travel anywhere. It's an online live virtual classes. You just need to be the comfort of your home the way you are right now. And the reason I call this is the demo classes, because this is exactly how the PMP classes are going to happen. You will be able to see the instructor, you will be able to see everything on the screen. They are going to be highly engaging, and the most important thing is all these classes will be recorded, and you will have lifelong access to the class recording. You can download that and you store in your PC or your mobile, and you can go through it whenever you want. But I'm sure after you become PMP, no one would even want to, you know, listen to the recordings. And another thing is your flexi pass. So all these batches that you see here, and this is just only for the month of June. We have batches coming up in July and August also, and probably more than this number of batches, because, you know, 10 days are already gone now. And you can register for any batch that you want without any questions asked. Okay, we already talked about the mock questions. We have around total 1,000 questions here, plus we have chapter and quizzes, and we have case studies, and we have scenario based games. Okay, so this is all I wanted to cover in the session today, and I'm sorry we are late by 5 minutes, but I'm going to take up some time now to take the questions. Please start writing your questions, and I'll now look at all the questions that I got here.
We have a few questions that came in concerning the differences in the different programs. And I know Simplilearn offers PMP, we offer the Prince 2, there's Agile, there's Waterfall, there's a question of what's used in Europe. that came from Neha versus what's used in the America versus what's common in India. Can you just briefly address the difference between Prince2, PMP, and then of course Agile and Waterfall you already addressed a little bit during the talk.
Okay, yes teacher. So this is a very good question and very important question. PMP, Prince2 and PMI ACP. Okay, I'll give you an example because there are a lot of information available. This is theory based, this is knowledge based, this is process based, and blah blah blah. Let me give you a very simple example to understand this. Suppose you are driving a car, you are on a highway, and at some point you see a pothole. Then you are driving at a certain speed, and then you need to take certain action to probably avoid the pothole. Okay, now suppose similar kind of roadblock you hit in your project. Then if you are following the PMBOK or your methodology is based on the PMBOK guide, then it is going to give you the knowledge. PMBOK guide or PMP is based on the knowledge given to imparted to the project manager. So in this situation, you will get a lot of choices, a lot of options that you can reduce the speed of your car from probably 80 miles an hour to 50 miles an hour or 40 miles an hour. Second option is you can take a detour. Third option is you can take a U-turn. Fourth option is you stop there and probably wait for some assistance to come. There could be multiple options here. So it will give you all the knowledge, and depending on the situation, circumstances, you take a call that what you should do. This is based on PMP or PMBOK guide. Now coming to Prince2. So Prince2 is process based. So the process will already be defined. Okay. Of course, there is some customization. There would be customization which is allowed in both the approaches. But Prince2 will say, whenever you see a pothole, make sure you're reducing your speed from 80 miles to 35 miles an hour. And then when you are probably 200 meters from the pothole, take a slight detour and then follow this. So the processes are laid out. That is why it is called as that PMBOK or PMP is knowledge based and Prince2 is process based. Now, both of them follow the a hybrid approach, which is a mix of the traditional waterfall and some kind of agile. So why it is said traditional waterfall? Because there are some activities, some processes which are sequential, and within those processes you may have some iterative work going on. That is why it is called as hybrid approach. Now coming to PMI ACP, because there was a question also coming up that whether I should go for PMP or Prince2 or PMI ACP. Now PMI ACP follows the agile approach. Okay, so agile approach means there are three elements in any project: scope, time, cost, and quality within the center of it. When you follow the traditional or hybrid approach, your scope, time, and cost are constant. They will not change. In case if you need to alter that, then you'll have to go through the change control process. But in case of agile, your time and cost may remain constant, but your scope will be defined iteratively, which is mostly based on the feature based. And PMI ACP or agile is predominantly used in the software industry. Of course, it can be used in other industry as well, but it is mostly used in software development industry. So it is mostly more over the feature base. So you first complete one feature and you review with the customer, you incorporate their inputs there, you take the feedback of the team, and based on the feedback and input and the work that you've done and how it is going on, you move to the next iteration. But the important point to understand here is, for a project, which approach should be used, whether it is hybrid or traditional waterfall or agile. Now, if you work in an industry where the requirements keep changing constantly, then you must follow agile. But if you work in an industry or in your organization where even before you start the project, the end product is absolutely clear to you, then you can follow PMP or Prince2 approach. Okay. And another important point is these certifications do not compete with each other, but they complement each other. And in fact, if you're really looking for that next level jump in your career, I would suggest anyone to go for all the certification, because if you're looking for a change, you have no idea in which job you're going to land into. So you must go for that. You must, I would personally, I would recommend that go for at least 2 of the certification, so you are ready to, gel into any kind of industry or any kind of organization. So Richard, slightly elaborated answer, but I hope it clarifies.
Oh, I thought it was wonderful. Yeah, it's hard to cover all that, and I certainly have worked with a number of people who have the different certifications over the years, depending on what business they're working in.
Yeah.
What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna split the questions into 2 groups, and there's some that kind of are outside of those 2 groups. Let's the second one I'm going to do is we have a lot of individual questions as far as their specific career they're in. But before we do that, can you talk a little bit about the actual classes, like how long the classes are? Is the PMP or the PMI book supplied as part of the class? If you're going through the master course on PMP, how many classes is that? That kind of thing. If you can talk just a little bit about the courses, because I know we have about 5 or 6 people who asked about that.
Sure, sure. So as I told you, as I discussed, mentioned this, we have this LVC live virtual classes, and these classes are scheduled to keeping in mind that the business schedule of the people. So you don't need to go anywhere, and we have weekend and weekday classes both. We have morning classes, then we have evening classes, and the duration is 4 hours to 3 hours, 3 hours. In case if you are going for the weekend batch, then each class is of 4 hours, and there will be 8 classes of 4 hours each. If you're going for a weekday class, then there will be 3 hours dual class, starting from Monday to Friday. Okay, so you can choose a batch of your choice, or it may also happen that you registered for a weekday batch, but at some point of time it start conflicting with your schedule or some changing priorities. Then you can immediately log into your account and register for any other weekend batch also. So it is a 3-hour class or 4-hour class, depending on whether you join a weekday batch or weekend batch. And as I told you, PMBOK guide is not supplied because no company is authorized to distribute the PMBOK guide, soft copy of PMBOK guide. And when you register for the PMP examination, or when you apply for the PMI membership, you're going to get your own personalized soft copy of PMBOK guide. Okay. And the third part of your question is the content that we supply is sufficient to clear the PMP examination? Yes, absolutely yes. The only thing that you need to read additional is PMBOK guide. I would not recommend anyone going for the PMP examination without reading that PMBOK guide cover to cover. PMBOK guide cover to cover, then all the content supplied by Simplilearn is equal to you getting PMP certified. Okay? I hope it covers all the parts of the question, Richard.
I think so. I think you got all the different ones that I found in there. And of course, if we missed something, please throw the question back out there concerning the classes. And we have just a lot of people asking specific to their background. So I'm not sure how to cover all of them. Like we have Rajiv, who's from a testing background. I have rolling stock manager, Chandra. Previously manufacturing, but now MEP, supply chain management, Ritu, maintenance sector, so PMP helpful in the maintenance sector, team lead in a data center operation.
Okay,
I got it. 2 more down here. Yeah, there's a lot on here, so that was like. Yeah.
So let me give them a brief explanation of everything, and I'm sure it is going to answer each and every question. So first, let me reiterate the definition of project. It is important to understand this. The definition of the project is any endeavor undertaken to create a unique product, service, or result falls into the category of a project. And if you have worked on that, if you have worked on any area, any domain, or any element of that, that means you are a part of the project manager, you are doing the project management. Your title is not important. Now, when I talk about this work, this activity, this endeavor could be from any industry. It could be IT, it could be software, it could be manufacturing, it could be supply chain, it could be construction, it could be engineering background, it could be anything. Okay, as long as the work that you're doing falls into the category of project and project management, yes, you are eligible. Coming to the second part of it, your role, the role that you played. Your title is not important. You may be an analyst, you may be a designer, you may be an engineer, you may be a developer, you may be a QA specialist, but if the work that you're doing falling into the category of project management, yes, that will make you eligible. Now, third part is, how would you know whether you are actually working on the project or not? For example, someone said, I'm a team lead in data center operations. Now, yes, operations require a different approach, and that may not fit into the bill for project management. But suppose you have a team of 30 people, you're running operations, day-to-day activities, the tickets are being raised, and you're doing that. But there is definitely some element of project management as well. For example, every quarter you need to do some business planning. You need to do the headcount planning. So you will initiate, you will probably identify some people, you'll sit with them, and then you'll do the analysis of what kind of volume we're going to expect in the next fiscal quarter or maybe the next fiscal year. Okay, so there is a planning activity, and then you will send it to your customer for approval, or probably the senior management for approval, and once it is approved, then you're going to execute this plan. There could be a cost optimization project. Let's say you are a hardcore operations professional. You're being a delivery manager or operations manager. Your organization gave you a mandate to reduce the operational cost by 10% in next fiscal year. So this is something which is going to run parallel to the operational work that you're doing, and which will fall into the category of being a project. And yes, this is going to make you eligible to take the PMP examination. Okay, so I hope this gives a good insight to everyone. There are a lot of activities, and I'm also going to plan another webinar which will talk more about people who do not come from the project background. But in case if you have enrolled with Simplilearn, or you're planning to enroll and you still have some doubt, you can reach out to me. I'm going to share my email address at end of the session. After I'm done with it, you can just drop a mail, or you can reach out to any of our sales member. You need to go to the Simplilearn's PMP page. You need to register yourself and drop in your query, and we'll support you. We'll answer. We'll look into your profile and give you the details about it. Yeah, so Richard, one more thing, just we need to tell all these people, though I have just mentioned is, in case if your questions are unanswered, some of the specific question that you have that I have not covered or missed out, all you need to do is go to simplilearn.com and look for PMP page, register yourself, or if you're already lead, just drop in a mail.
Okay, and then there's two more questions I want to try to grab in here. One of them I'm going to answer, just because I feel like I'm on the sidelines. No. The questions on recordings. We do record this session. If you do want a copy of that recording, you can send a note to our emails, and we'll send you out the link. If you go to simplilearn.com, you can also go under any of the tech support or the contact emails and let them know you were here and you want a copy of the session, that we can go back and review it. The other question that a lot of people are curious about is that the PMP, they have the new edition coming out. So there's questions on the PMP as far as if it's going to be released, should they wait till the new edition comes out? Should they start studying now? That kind of thing.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay.
Yes, this is a very, very important topic and very important question. So PMI is going to come up with a 6th edition of PMBOK guide, which is going to release sometime in Q3. So this is right now we are at Q2, second quarter, and the third quarter is going to be July, August, September. So sometime in Q3 they are going to release this. But it's not that the day PMBOK 6th edition is out, you will start taking examination based on 6th edition. No. PMI will give you minimum 6 or 7 months time, rollover time. Okay. Srinivas is saying it is Q1 in 2018. This timeline might have changed, but until the last information that I had, maybe I'm not updated on the recent one, it is Q3. But I'll just check that and get back to you. Now, point here is a lot of people asking whether we should wait for the new edition or just go with it. See, if you are seriously thinking of going for PMP examination, then I would personally suggest go for it now, because the changes are going to be significant. changes are not minor, they're going to be significant. And what happens is, whenever the new version comes in, it takes some time for everyone, for all the required resources to come up and available to you. Of course, Simplilearn is going to update the content as soon as possible, but there is a lot of additional information, a lot of experience which has been captured and gathered and collected here, which can really be helpful. For example, even though I have been doing this training for years and I've trained thousands of people, but it will take some time for me also to understand and grasp and then build the relevant examples. So if you go for the existing edition, which is the 5th edition, there is no dearth of any content or knowledge or information available on 5th edition. But of course, the value remains the same. No one is going to ask you that whether you did this in 5th edition or you did this in 6th edition. I did my PMP examination 4th edition, and I am still here standing in front of you, taking this session and doing the trainings across and doing my work. So no one will question that we will not, no one will say that we will not hire you because you did in 5th edition. I would personally suggest go for it now before the exam changes to 6th edition. This is the right time for it right now. Okay, so that's about it, Richard. And if there are any questions, so hold on to it, Richard, for a few more minutes. Let me just announce it here. If you feel that your question is not answered, you can quickly type in here, and I'm here for some more time and I'll answer your question. In the meantime, while you're scrolling through, let me quickly run through the questions just to make sure that I've not missed out anything. Richard, I'm sorry, I know it is late. We are overshooting by 26 minutes, but it's very important that we answer all the questions.
Oh, that is not a problem. I remember they allocated some extra time for this, so we shouldn't have a problem with that.
So Neha is asking, is PMP recognized in Europe? Neha, PMP is recognized across the globe. PMI has presence in 173 countries and it has members from 204 countries. So you can go for it. Okay. And okay, let me just come from Fred. I think this all I think I answered all the questions, and then there's a Srinivasulu question given a change for PMP and PMSAP, which one should I choose? So I think I answered that question as well. It completely depends on what industry, which region, which geography you are into, and what is your career plan. But I would suggest that go for Prince 2 and PMP and PMI SAP. If you can go for 3, all of them, fantastic. But at least go for at least 2. Okay, and then I'm coming to the question, how PMP benefits to a rolling stock manager. I think I answered this question. It will help you, help everyone. And then, okay, so there is a question from Kalpesh, will a tool of PM be taught in PMI course? So there are specific tools, but what I can do is, if you're planning to enroll, if you can give me a confirmation, I can probably work out on something for you. We can give you a complimentary course of Microsoft project along with it. But you have to reach out to the sales team, for this, and you can just drop me a mail. I shared my email address, and will definitely help you with that. But no tool is covered during this PMP training. The focus is on PMP examination, and we can provide you the tool separately. Okay. I'm complete. There's a question by Srinivasulu again. I'm completed PMP and not following the PMI standard defined by PMI due to some situation. Okay, which action PMI will be taking action? Srinivasulu, I'm not very clear with this, but again, let me just tell you one thing, that PMI has given this PMBOK guide, which will give you the guidance. Now, whether the organizations are following that or not following that, that is completely on them. As long as it falls into within the professional responsibility and ethics, it is fine, because PMI says you have the authority and right to tailor make this processes or customize the processes. Okay, and if I fail in first attempt, okay, I covered this question, and okay. Srinivasulu again is saying, most difficult for me is ITTOs. How do I follow and remember? Srinivasulu, we need to connect offline and I'll answer your questions there. Okay, how do I remember is a very difficult question to answer in one thing. So Neha is asking, any mock tests taken by Simplilearn before appearing for PMP examination? Yes, there are 5 mock tests, and each mock test has around 200 questions. And I would very strongly recommend you to go through all those 1000 questions. More mock questions you do, higher the probability of you clearing it in first attempt. And there was a question, earlier also, I hope the questions are not repeated. No, all these 1000 questions are unique question. It is not that, you saw some questions in mock test 1 and the same are being repeated in 2 or 3 or 4. No, all are the unique question. Okay, so Srinivas is again asking, so till last 200 question we are not sure to pass. Well, no one in the world can give you guarantee that you're 100% going to pass. It's all about how you take it there. To be very honest, when I took the PMP examination, I did only 300 mock questions and I was still able to clear this in first attempt. Okay, when to renew the PMP certification by Neha. So Neha, your certification is valid for 3 years, and in 3 years time you need to earn 60 PDUs. Okay, and then that is sufficient for renewal. You need not to reappear for the examination. Okay, Rajiv is asking what are the charges for 35 PDUs by Simplilearn. So Rajiv, my team will reach out to you with the details of the charges. Okay, and I answered this question about the new edition and can PMP help in switching my industry moment I'm in power industry. Yes, Neha, PMP definitely can be useful, but you need to speak to me offline and then I'll be able to guide you. So whether I have to purchase any particular book to prepare by Sudha, well, as I told you, Simplilearn's content is sufficient to help you prepare for the PMP examination. If you wish to go for any additional content, yes, there are a lot of information available, but I would suggest, you don't need to do that actually. Whatever we have is more than sufficient, more than enough. Okay. And so let me just go through the last part of the questions just to ensure that nothing is missed out here. Okay, so Vasudev is asking, is a construction-based project example in the learning for PMP? Yes, instructor is going to share the example from that. Instructor will definitely share that, and when you reach out to when you look at this content, you'll find example and case studies for the construction as well. And Srinivasalu is saying Simplilearn is awesome. Thanks a lot, Srinivasalu. Thanks a lot for your compliment, and I'm sure we'll be able to help you and you'll be able to clear this in first attempt. Okay, let me quickly go to the next. Okay, and then Divya is asking for the copy of this video. Yes, this recording will be shared with all of you. And Gaurav is asking question, I have started my CAPM, but can I switch to PMP or need to complete my CAPM first? No, it's not like that you need to first clear CAPM and then move to PMP. If you are eligible for the PMP, you straight away go to PMP. Why are you going for CAPM? CAPM for those people who do not have that 4,500 hours of project management experience, but still they need to acquire the right knowledge because their role or their job demands that. If you have that experience, go for PMP straight away. There is no it's not a step-by-step learning. Okay. And then first we read the PMBOK and then take the training. RK Raj, I would suggest, no. Okay, now this very important question that Rajiv has asked, whether you should read the PMBOK guide first and then go for the PMP training. No, I would very strongly suggest that don't even touch the PMBOK guide. First you go for the training. Because let me tell you, PMBOK guide is one of the most boring book in the world. If you're not able to sleep in the night, open the PMBOK guide and you'll be able to fall asleep. But if you understand the logic and if you follow the process which is being taught to you, I can assure you that PMBOK will become a very interesting book for you. Okay, there is a special approach that you need to follow in reading the PMBOK guide. Just plain reading is not going to help you. So don't wait for reading the PMBOK guide, go for the training first. Vasudev was asking whether the course is in English. Yes, it is in English, not in any Indian language. Okay. And Priya is, I lead the training function in BPO set. Can I implement the PMP training out there? Oh yes, definitely Priya, you can get in touch with me and I'll help you with that. Ritu is saying, awesome webinar. Thanks a lot, Ritu. And Priya is asking, also do we cover any aspects of problem solving in PMP like Six Sigma? So Six Sigma also follows this approach, the project management approach. You have define and measure and analyze. So we have this DMAC there, and similarly we have this PMP. And problem solving, PMP talks more about the knowledge of the project manager, and project manager will have to use some aspect of the knowledge for the problem solving. Okay, and thanks Narendra for the compliment. And okay, so Pradeep is asking, I'm learning Six Sigma with the Simplilearn. Is it the right opt for PMP now? Please suggest. Pradeep, we have this fantastic learning path as well. You can upgrade your Six Sigma to the Project Management Masters, where you just need to pay some additional, and you can get not only PMP but some additional courses as well. Okay. Great. I think I have covered all the questions, and if still I have missed out any question, please reach out to me. I have shared my email address. You can just drop in a query, and I'll make sure that I'm reaching out to you and speaking to you.